You know what's interesting about loneliness? It doesn't care how many people texted you today. It looks like a full inbox. It looks like a comment section lighting up. It looks like staying up until 2 a.m. watching someone you've never met narrate their entire life and feeling genuinely close to them. You're not disconnected, you're drowning in connection. So why does it feel like you haven't actually spoken to anyone in weeks? And then you put the phone down. After 2 hours of being online, talking, reacting, watching, existing in a dozen conversations at once, and the room feels emptier than before you picked it up. That's the part nobody talks about, not the screen time, not the scrolling, the silence after. That specific, hollow quiet that shouldn't exist if connection actually happened. You weren't alone online, you were surrounded. And somehow, that made it worse.
Here's the thing about loneliness that most people never get told. It's not an emotion, it's an alarm. Your brain, the oldest, deepest part of it, evolved over hundreds of thousands of years in a world where being separated from your group meant death. Not metaphorical death, actual predators, actual starvation. Isolation wasn't uncomfortable back then, it was a countdown. So the brain built a system, a threat detection system specifically wired to monitor the edges of your social world. And when it senses the group pulling away, even slightly, it doesn't send you a feeling, it sends you a warning. It makes you hypervigilant, it makes you scan.
Stephanie Cacioppo at the University of Chicago measured this. Lonely brains and non-lonely brains shown the same social threat. Same image, same split second. Lonely brains registered the threat in 252 milliseconds. Lonely brains, 116. More than twice as fast. Your isolated nervous system doesn't slow down, it accelerates. It gets sharper, more suspicious, more attuned to any signal that might confirm what it already suspects, that you're on the outside. Now take that brain, that paranoid, hypervigilant, threat-scanning brain, and hand it a phone. You open the app, and consciously, you think you're looking for connection.
But the nervous system has a different agenda. It's not browsing, it's patrolling. It's scanning for evidence. Who posted without tagging you? Who's been active but hasn't replied? Who seems to be doing fine, better than fine, while you're sitting in a quiet room at night wondering why nothing feels like enough? The platform doesn't calm the alarm, it feeds it. Infinite data points for a paranoid system to misread. You log off feeling more alone than when you opened it, and you'll open it again in 11 minutes. There's a reason for that hollow feeling specifically, the specific emptiness after, and it lives in your body, not your head. Human bonding, real bonding, has a biological unlock code. Your nervous system requires very specific inputs before it will release the signal that says you're safe, you're with your people, you can stop bracing.
It needs a voice, the actual acoustic frequency of someone speaking. It needs proximity, shared physical space, eye contact held long enough to register, and sometimes it needs touch. When those boxes get checked, your hypothalamus releases oxytocin, and oxytocin does something no notification can replicate. It suppresses cortisol, it quiets the amygdala, it tells your entire nervous system, stand down, you're not alone. Researchers at the University of Wisconsin ran an experiment. They stressed kids out, properly stressed them, then had their mothers comfort them in 3 different ways: in person, over the phone, just voice, or by text message. Kids comforted in person recovered. Oxytocin surged, cortisol dropped. The kids who just heard their mother's voice, same thing, just the voice was enough. The kids who got the text messages, their cortisol stayed exactly as high as the kids who got no comfort at all. The words were kind, the messages were warm, the body didn't care. Biologically, it registered nothing. So think about what that means for you. 4 hours online, dozens of interactions, memes sent, reactions given, Voice notes, maybe. And your nervous system sat there the entire time running its quiet calculation. No voice, no proximity, no touch. Zero oxytocin. Hollow feeling isn't you being ungrateful for your connections. It's your body accurately reporting what it received, which was nothing it was built for.
And then there's the thing you probably don't want to look at too closely. The late-night stuff. The creator you've been watching for 8 months. You know their cadence. You know when they're tired. You laugh at the same things. There's a familiarity there that feels real, comfortable, safe in a way that's hard to explain to someone who doesn't get it. Researchers call this a parasocial relationship, one-sided attachment. You invest emotionally, they don't know you exist. Here's what makes it quietly dangerous, not harmful in an obvious way, dangerous in a slow, invisible way. It works. In the short term, it genuinely works. The brain receives social emotional input. Loneliness dips, the nervous system partially settles. You feel less alone watching that stream than you do staring at the ceiling. But what it's actually doing is replacing the friction.
Real connection requires something terrifying. It requires you to be seen without controlling what gets seen. It requires the risk that someone could leave, could judge, could not show up. That friction is the cost of real attachment. Parasocial relationship removes that cost entirely. It's intimacy without exposure, closeness without vulnerability. The brain learns, slowly, quietly, that it can get close enough to connection without having to risk the real thing. And the longer that substitution runs, the higher the bar becomes for actual human interaction to feel worth it. A 9-year study out of Baylor University tracked 7,000 adults. Both passive scrolling and active engagement independently predicted increased loneliness over time. Not just passive, active too. Posting, replying, engaging, both directions, same destination. The platform isn't a bridge to connection. For the already isolated nervous system, it becomes a very sophisticated way of staying exactly where you are, while feeling like you're moving. Here's what the research doesn't resolve. Knowing this changes very little for most people. You now understand the oxytocin deficit. You know about the hypervigilance scan. You know the parasocial relationship is a substitution, not a solution. You know the Baylor study. 9 years, 7,000 people, both directions. And tonight, you'll still open the app. Not because you're weak, not because you're addicted in some simple way, but because the alternative, the actual alternative, requires showing up somewhere, with someone, and being seen without a filter, without an edit button, without the ability to close the tab if it gets uncomfortable.
And that's terrifying in a way that no amount of understanding makes easier. So the real question isn't whether you're lonely, it's whether you're willing to be uncomfortable enough to stop being lonely. Most people aren't, and the feed will always be there for the rest. Which one are you?